Hello and welcome to today's episode of Fully Clothed but Still a Little Afraid. Today we will be taken to the temperate grasslands of the Eurasian steppe and will be told a few important things on how to survive in the given environment.
The survival items that you will need to be able to survive in the Eurasian steppe are the multi-tool knife to be able to easily cut down and kill small wildlife and plants, matches in case you are unable to start a fire, rope to be able to put together tools and housing, sleeping bags to be able to sleep in, a first aid kit in case of emergency, a pot to be able to boil and cook food and water, and a backpack to hold other supplies.
The nearest sources of drinkable water would be the Euro River, parts of the Black Sea that is nearby, and the Irtirish River. In order to get fire from the temperate grasslands, first you want to take some sticks, dry grass, and some bark where you can still see some of the wood grain on it. Then you want to take your knife and you want to drill a hole inside the bottom of the bark. So there's a small hole in order to let air in. Then you want to take your dry grass and put it near the end of the bark. Then you want to take your stick and you want to push down and drive it in, trying to create as much heat as possible in order to push it near the dry grass. And you want to go over that hole so oxygen can get in. And you want to keep doing that until you see it smoke. And then when it's smoking, you want to blow lightly on it just to get air inside. To get a shelter in the temperate grasslands, first you need to find some sticks and gather them. Then you're going to need to take your knife and hunt an animal and skin it. Because the temperate grasslands are so scarce in certain materials, this is the only way that you're going to be able to make a cover for your shelter.
A few types of plants that you can eat are peanuts, wild onions, artichokes, wild plums, and sunflowers. The hardest one to spot is probably going to be the peanut plant, but it can easily be identified by a bright yellow flower and its round leaves. You can tell if the plant has pods by checking for any light brown pegs that would connect the pods to the plant from underground, and they somewhat resemble mini stems. Aside from the peanut plant, all of the others should be somewhat recognizable.
Some native animals that you will be able to eat in the Eurasian steppe would be the leaping jerboas, the Argali sheep, the Siberian ibex, and the bison, although you should refrain from killing the bison as the species is endangered currently.
Another type of organism you can consume is lichen, a sort of mossy organism that grows on the bark of trees and on stone. It can appear to be leaf-like or thread-like and can also vary in color, with most being a sort of greenish hue. If you find some, it is almost guaranteed that you'll be able to eat it and survive, as almost every type of lichen is harmless if consumed. It is a similar case with moss, with a good amount of species also being edible. You can eat both of these raw, or you can cook them in a soup. If you're trying to begin a farm or something of the sort, there are a few things you need to keep in mind. For one, the steppes grasslands have very little fertile soil that is fertile enough for farming. And even if you do find a patch of fertile soil, the steppe also suffers from unreliable rainfall and occasional droughts. But that problem can be somewhat solved by making your farm near a source of water. If you do decide to begin farming, you may want to use a plow rotation system. This is where you have a plot or two of land used to grow crops and another plot that is left fallow. That way it can regain its fertility in the soil.
Despite the temperate grasslands having a low diversity of wildlife, it makes up for it by having a high abundance of it. The dominant grazing animals are bison and pronghorn. The rodents can include pocket gophers and prairie dogs. Carnivores can include wolves, coyotes, and badgers. And for birds, we have included the owl.
The only organism that can pose a threat would be wolves and the Corsic fox. In order to get rid of these, you're never going to want to take your eye off them, and you're going to slowly back up, grabbing any materials you can and tossing it at them, and make yourself look as big and threatening as possible.
There are many medicinal organisms common in the temperate grassland area. A few examples are the yarrow, agrimony, a plant known as couch grass, and oat. As there is no emergency services in the temperate grassland area where we will be staying at, we need to be able to care for ourselves. And in case of one of us breaking one of our limbs, we can use large twigs to support the broken limb and use long grass or reeds to wrap around the limb like bandages and help make everything nice, tight, and sturdy. A problem common in the Eurasian steppe is hot summers and cold winters. However, to get around this, we can use the shelter that we have created out of animal hide and use that to stay warm or cool. Just an average room temperature area that we will all be able to stay in to survive the elements.
A few ways you can prevent unnecessary damage to the ecosystem is by not hunting endangered species and by preventing fires from going out of control. Hunting endangered species, such as the saiga antelope, could mess up the local food web, creating chaos in connected populations. Not only that, but uncontrolled fires can be really bad for the environment, as they can prevent plants from forming seeds if they haven't already, and can put certain animals in unnecessary danger.